Sir Keir Starmer is under a bit of fire after suggesting Jeremy Corbyn would have made a better Prime Minister than Boris Johnson.
Well, here's what Sir Keir had to say today.
I have changed the Labour Party because after that election result we needed to ensure that we had a party which proudly said country first, party second, with a manifesto for change, and that's what we put before the electorate. There's a real choice this time round between carrying on with what we've got, the failure of the last 14 years, or starting to rebuild the country with a Labour government.
Slightly skirting the question there. He said he needed to change the Labour Party so it can win an election.
Yeah.
That doesn't mean that he needed to change the Labour Party because he believed the Labour Party needs to be changed. What does he actually think?
Well, did Sir Keir Starmer make a bit of a mistake by being so unclear about his support for Mr Corbyn and in criticising Boris Johnson? Well, joining us now to debate this is former Conservative Minister Edwina Currie and the teacher activist Aisha Ali Khan. Thank you very much indeed to you both for coming on. Edwina, I'll start with you. Did Keir Starmer make a bit of a slip-up here?
There is such a thing as a Freudian slip in which you inadvertently say what you really mean. I mean, he changed the party in order to win an election because it was unelectable before. And one of the reasons was that his predecessor, Jeremy Corbyn, whom he supported very strongly at the time, had allowed anti-semitism to become rife in the Labour Party to the point at which they were hounding their own Jewish MPs and making life extremely difficult for a lot of people. It was a terrible thing to have happen, and Starmer is right to have made every attempt to root it out. But it does rather sound in the voice that he's actually uttering himself that he only did it not because he believed that it was wrong before and that it's a right thing to do, but because he recognised that the electorate thought that. Now, that sounds to be a bit insincere and a bit concerning, I must say, especially for a
politician being insincere. I am shocked at the accusation, Edwina. Let's throw that over to Aisha. Was Sir Keir Starmer being insincere last night?
I just want to say that when we are faced with, obviously, supporting our party, supporting our potential leaders, it's actually the party that we want to see in power. And I campaigned for, I voted for Jeremy Corbyn both times when he stood for election as the party leader. And then I actually campaigned, I went out of my way, I took lots of time off work to campaign for Keir Starmer's bid when he stood for leader as well. So this is the sort of thing that we are constantly faced with as activists and grassroots campaigners. Who do we want to be in power, basically? And at that point in 2019, we were, when I say we, I'm talking about fellow Labour campaigners and activists like myself, we wanted to see a Labour Party in power. We wanted to see a Labour government. We'd had 9 years of Conservative rule. We'd seen austerity measures. We'd seen the NHS being gutted. We'd seen huge, sort of, as a teacher, saw lots of changes in the classroom. Teachers forced to work for longer hours, less pay. Cost of living had just, obviously was on the cusp. We were just seeing that getting worse. Food banks being opened up and down the country. So we were actually actively campaigning to allow
essentially it doesn't
allow Labour policies in.
Yeah. So essentially, I'll put this to Edwina, it doesn't matter who the leader is, in politics, you've got to be tribal, you've got to just go for the red rosette.
That sounds like a very short-sighted and, if I may say so, thoughtless, approach to politics. In the end, what's the welfare of the country? What's the welfare of our local people? What's the welfare of our community? And not only our community, but other communities as well. The moment you let any kind of racism, and anti-Semitism is one of the worst, the moment you let that loose, you put all sorts of other people at risk. You create or you foment or you condone a kind of attitude that says we just don't like other people because they're other people or because of what they look like. I fought against that all my life, whether it was in politics or anything else. And I would counsel anybody else to think hard about it. It's not just the party label that matters, it's the outcome. And if Corbyn had won, with all the support that we've just heard about, if Corbyn had won, a lot of people in my family, a lot of people in Manchester, a lot of people in London that I know and care about, my cousins, would have felt extremely unsafe. They're feeling unsafe now because there are people in the Labour Party that are going on and on and on about Gaza. And yes, there are issues there, of course there are, but we have to feel that everybody is protected and safe in our community.
Aisha, go ahead.
Edwina, can I just say, I myself was investigated by the Labour Party because I defended Margaret Hodge. I actually defended her online. I've always defended my Jewish friends. I've got many Jewish friends. I was in Israel last year myself. So I was one of the first people, one of the few people that was actively speaking out about the anti-Semitism way before anybody else was, because I'd witnessed it firsthand in Bradford when the Respect Party were in power. With a certain MP who I shall not name. So I myself was fully aware, way before everybody else, what was going on at the grassroots level. So I totally accept what you said. I totally accept that we had an issue. A lot of the sort of supporters, and a lot of the campaigners, a lot of the candidates themselves, and the posts that they made, anti-Semitic posts and so on. And I feel that we did turn a corner under Keir Starmer. There was a hardline approach, rooting anti-Semitism out, making people understand that that was acceptable in our party. So I must say that there was a real change in direction when Keir Starmer became the leader of the party. Now, obviously, we've got, in politics, everybody has lots and lots of different opinions. We're an open church. You know, you've got the left and you've got the right, and you've got everybody else in between as well. And I think it's important to understand a leader is a figurehead, but it's one person. When we as campaigners, when we as activists are seeing people, that are struggling to pay their bills, that are seeing children with special needs being...
Yeah, so it's about voting basically for the Labour brand rather than the leader per se. Thank you so much. Sorry, we're going to have to wrap it up there, but really great to get both of you on. Aisha Ali Khan and, of course, Edwina Currie.